Hi and welcome to the podcast. Episode 157 is a Down Under 135 special. DU 135s are renowned for being an extremely tough race. It has a high dropout rate, tough cutoffs, and long finish times. This year was no exception, with only one finisher. First and last was Tom Dade in 53 hours and 8 minutes. This was actually 3 minutes quicker than last year, in spite of it being 9.5 kilometres longer at 226.6 kilometres. This was an average pace of 14.04 per kilometre. This sounds slow for a run, but for that course, it is actually incredibly swift. And Tom did it with naps, so really his pace was faster. I've been on the course, and that is just phenomenal. As an aside, he burned a massive 22,235 calories. No wonder he lost weight, as you will hear. I also interview Adrian Bellin, an amazingly tough athlete who pushed himself incredibly hard out there on the course. He made it to the halfway point, which at a normal race doesn't sound that remarkable, but as a first timer is an unbelievable achievement on this race. He tells his story, and it's a good one. The race threw everything at the competitors: steep ascents, slippery descents, and can I just say slippery ascents as well. Off-trail sections, lots of off-trail sections, and lots of river crossings. I speak with Adrian and Tom to find out about their different race experiences. I really hope you enjoy this episode, even though it's a bit longer than my latest ones that I've been putting out. Now, if you do enjoy this episode, please go on over to Apple Podcasts to rate, review, and subscribe. Cosy Brumby gave 5 stars and says, experience and knowledge are second to none. Isabel on her Peak Endurance podcast is wonderful to listen to. I'm fairly new to trail running and can't get enough from her podcast. From listening to interviews with seasoned runners to down-to-earth practical advice from Isabel's own wealth of experience, I have learned so much. I always eagerly look forward to each new episode. Thanks so incredibly much for your review. I'm super stoked you are enjoying the podcast. It gives me motivation when I read these reviews to keep working on it. If you are looking to run further or faster than you ever have before, you need to have structured, individualized training to help you get there. If you want to achieve the best that you yourself are capable of, email me, Isabel, at peakendurancecoaching.com.au to get a program started. Also, check out my website, peakendurancecoaching.com.au, to find out about my live event. I'll be talking about how to develop your mental strength to get through those tough training blocks and those tough ultras. So, like I said, go to peakendurancecoaching.com.au to find out more. I really hope you enjoy this podcast interview with Adrian and Tom. Hi, Adrian, and welcome to the Peak Endurance podcast.
Thanks for having me.
No worries. I've got Ron with me today.
Hello.
And we thought we would have a chat about your down under experience. I don't know how else to call it, maybe adventure. I don't know, because
Bit of everything.
a bit of everything, wasn't it? So first of all, talk to us about what made you want to do this race.
Well, I'd heard about it a few years ago when I first started running. Adam Baker from down this way had been in it twice. And it was like one of my first long runs. So I went with like a group of people. So I moved to a sort of a new state, new town, new job, everything.
Yep.
And sort of got into the running community. And he was training for this event down under. I'm like, what's this? And he's saying, oh, it's 200 and something Ks. And I'm like, what? I just couldn't. I'd just been running 5Ks and things like that. So it just seemed like way out. And that was only a few years ago. And then since then, I obviously, kept running, kept getting further and further. And then it was only a year ago that you did the podcast with Tom and Nigel from the Down Under, and I watched it and I was just like, mate, I'm entering that. So
make it look easy, don't they?
Sorry?
They make it look easy.
Oh, I know. But I'd actually just finished my first 100 miler which was the Hubert 100 in the Flinders Ranges.
Yeah.
So, and after doing that, I finished it. I went, I'm over these long runs. They just take too long.
Yeah.
And then the Down Under interview come up, and I'm watching that, and I'm straight away, I'm entering. So,
oh, good. I'm glad that had that effect on you.
And that was at the time I contacted yourself.
Yeah.
About training, because I thought, well, if I'm going to enter something like this, I better have half an idea of what I'm doing.
Yeah, for that race you need to, don't you?
Well, it was more the confidence to actually, because I could have done my own training. I could have thought I knew what I was doing. I just would have done I would have overtrained. I would have killed myself. I would have done everything wrong. So I guess, it was good to be coached by yourself, and I had the confidence that what I was doing was going to be right, and that I was coming okay.
Well, you did so well. Amazing. So you got to the halfway mark.
Yeah.
Which, as someone commented when I posted about that on Facebook, that's practically a podium finish, because so many, myself included, pulled out before then. So talk to us about your strategy throughout the race and what your experience was like.
Well, I thought I had everything sort of half planned out what I was going to do. I'd spoke with Adam Baker, who was sort of crewing me, and he'd sort of given me a few times which to aim at to hit. And then as soon as the whip went crack, I don't know, I probably went out too hard. And the first 20 Ks, there was something like 1,800 meters of vert or something. and I knew a lot of those hills because I'd sort of trained in there. I knew a few, well, I thought I knew a few of them, but there was all these little tricky ones that they added in.
We actually ran into you while we were both out there training. We ran into you.
Yeah. I know. That was cool. That was cool. And then I just ended up with both legs cramped up, in the hamstrings and everything. And I'd never experienced that. So I was just like, what the hell is going on? I'm sort of thinking, well, have I gone too hard for me capability?
I'm pretty sure I wrote in your plan not to go too hard at the start, didn't I?
Yeah, that just I don't know. I was feeling
excited.
Good. I was feeling so good, and just in my legs, and I was hiking the hill as well, and I just felt good. And then when the cramping hit me, I just was like, man, I've got to sort something out here. So I sort of went into, sort of just my mentality was like, I've got to fix this, or I just can't. I'm going to be basically sitting down or walking. And then, just got heaps of electrolytes, food, and then they sort of disappeared later on. But by that stage, then I had another issue where my Garmin Enduro, it froze up after 40 Ks, and I had no idea about a distance, how far I had to go to the next aid station. I was looking on my phone, but I couldn't make it out properly. Then I got back to the aid station. Adam's like, mate, you have not drank one bit of water and you've eaten nothing, for over 3 hours or something, and 4 hours. And I'm like, I thought I did. I was filling my bottles up in the river because I knew I was looking on the map, and I thought, well, when I cross the river, I'll be able to fill my bottles up because I'd been doing that a couple of times when I trained there. So, but then time got away, and by the end, just sort of I sort of ran a few Ks with you. You caught up with me, and then I was just trashed and. Sort of got to the aid station. Well, my best hope was to probably make the halfway point. I spoke to sort of Adam and Brad and Owen, they were my crew. I said, let's just do that. And it's still another 40 Ks, you know what I mean? It's not through the Lurdy Gorge. It's not that easy. I'm like,
and that 40 Ks is a long 40 Ks.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know. It was pretty cool. But so then after that, I just sort of went, just going to enjoy myself. I'm not going to try to, I'm not going to make cutoffs after, like, even if I make the, Blackwood and after, I think to Trout, I'm not getting, you just sort of know, don't you?
Mm.
You know what what's gonna happen. You can sort of, and then I went, well, let's just have fun. Like,
it's good that that was kind of a release rather than making you stressed out and miserable that you weren't going to make it. It more enabled you to just enjoy what you were doing at the time.
Yeah, I'd gone through all that misery, and then I came out of it and just went, well, I just, you sort of think about everything, don't you? Like all training and what, I don't know. And then I just thought, just going to enjoy myself now. I'm here. Like, let's do it. Well, it's still broken. I mean, feet were just so sore. I was very trashed. Yeah.
And what sort of foods did you consume whilst you were out there on the course?
Well, I had a bunch of gels, a few sort of like energy bars. I'd sort of planned, and when I got to the aid stations, they had like really good food there. I'm basically pretty inexperienced when it comes to ultra running in general, but just with food and things of what to take. Because I'm like every training run I do, like I'm never eating, I'm never really, so I sort of think it doesn't affect me. I can run like 30, 40 Ks, no food, and then
didn't I put in the plan to practice your nutrition on some of those long runs?
But it was just tailwind. I wasn't really, I was getting by on that.
But you need food. Food for that amount of time.
I do. I was eating pizza, rice, food,
awesome,
potatoes. I just started, that's what I mean. Like when I sort of got to that point where I hadn't eaten and drank anything for over 3 or 4 hours, I was like, well, now it just turned into a hunt down food. It was good.
That's awesome though. And that sort of sat all right with you?
Yeah. I've never sort of felt sick from food. One time I did, we did sort of like a backyard ultra here when COVID was all on, and I just munched out on like Coke and like muffins, and it just
that's a lot of sugar.
Yeah, and I just went to this real sugar rush for about an hour. Everyone was laughing. I was jogging around, and next minute I just crash. I just didn't want to do that, obviously, in the down under. But it was such a good sort of event, and I mean, I've sort of the reasons too for entering it were, I wanted something to be like hard. I knew that was obviously the distance and the terrain was, but I don't know, doesn't scare you a little. It's probably not worth doing.
So what were the figures in the end? Do you know, like how far?
I don't know, because I disappeared off the off their link thing. So I never really bothered to look it up after. I just thought it went,
well, if Tom got 226 Ks, then you would have got 113.
Yeah, I didn't. Because because me watch stuff up and all that. I just had no idea. Like that's what I mean. It messed with me head for ages. Me watch. I was just like so pissed off.
Yeah. Is it working again now?
No, I've sent it back. They're replacing it.
So like I said, DU even killed your bloody watch.
That's right. It breaks everything.
I was like, it's frozen. I'm like, I'm not that cold. Surely you're like, it's not that cold.
It wasn't cold at all, was it?
No, the weather was good. Like, it was sort of, we had like a little bit of mist, rain that cooled you down. But some of the tracks were so brutal. I was just like falling down, and I had about 6 really good falls.
Yeah.
I was, doing the splits, and one time my knee was up around my ear behind my head or something. It was
like
so
you've been
good.
doing all that flexibility work then, eh?
Yeah, I know. That was like, as soon as I did that, I was like, that's lucky. Lucky. Otherwise, can you imagine like doing your knee on one of those off-trail sections up on the hill
and having to get out? Yeah.
You have to wait for another. I don't know. Yeah, I was thinking about things like that. But
So what would you say to someone who's listening to this, who's thinking, I don't know, would this race be for me? What would you say to them?
I just do it because it's not really like it's the fun, I mean, I still don't see myself as like a runner like I do. But and this race sort of, that's why I thought it suited me, because it obviously had, you don't have to really be a runner, do you?
No.
Like, because if you're good at crawling, climbing, falling, hiking,
Doing the
all those
splits.
things, bushwhacking, crossing streams.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'd do it. Like, it's so fun. Like, and all the guys that run it, the crew, they're all good. I mean, it's like a little, like, they only had 30 or so people, I think, was entered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone was, like a badass. Like, it was good too, because I obviously, my race had ended, and when I want to get to the finish the next day to see Tom finish, and I had my youngest son Levi there, and I said, mate, you got to come here and watch this, you know what I mean? And we were sort of waiting around, and then Tom would come in just all trashed and that, and it was good. Like, I introduced my son to him and said, mate,
Yeah.
and Levi was just like, mate, that dude is a badass. Like, dude, I said, if this was a, like a really well-known sport, that was televised or something, had whatever sponsors, I said, what he did was, to me, incredible. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, it's, and we do these races, and we enter them, and you see all these people. It's so good. Like,
yeah. And that's we were saying it with Tom too. It's like the community is what also makes it so special, isn't it?
Yeah. So, and that's what I sort of wanted out of it, and that's sort of what I got.
Yeah.
Even, like, I live in South Australia. My brother lives in Gordon, which isn't far from the Lurdy-Derg, and so I'd go over to see my boys, and we'd stay at my brother's house, and I'd say, all right, boys, we're pushing, I'll bring your running gear because we're going in the gorge. And they're like, oh, how long are we going to be? I said, we're only doing 15 Ks. You'll be fine with that. And the next minute, it's like 6 hours later.
Yeah, exactly. And what about tell the story of the white vest?
Oh, yeah. Well, I wanted sort of this 20-kilo weight vest, and I bought it for my son he lives in Geelong, and I got it delivered to his house. So when I said to his house, he said, oh, I'm not really going to use it, so you may as well use it first. I said, all right, well, today's good. We're going into the gorge. And I figured we wouldn't be doing heaps of running. So I thought, I'll take the 20-kilo weight vest. I'll just chuck that on. It'll be good. I was going down like Bear's Head, and I was like, man, I'm going to fall. Like, it was just, a bit dodgy. In through the old river section with the 20-kilo vest. It was, a bit silly. But I worked it out. I'd done, so from the time of entering to the event, even with COVID and just the few times I'd sort of gone over to Victoria, basically every time I went there, I'd say, got to run. I'd done 167 Ks in there.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. One at night and got lost.
Yeah. But I think that's important for success at that race, is to spend a bit of time there.
Yeah. So there was nothing there that like bothered me, you know what I mean? Other than like physically and mentally what happens to yourself, nothing about the course, anything about it sort of bothered me. But it was just no, it was good. It was good. How did you pull up?
Oh, yeah, all right. See, I obviously didn't get many runs in there because we'd been overseas. So it was kind of, I kind of, it wasn't ever going to be like a big focus for me. It was just something to give it a bit of a crack. But yeah, no, I've been fine. But geez, I mean, I don't often get DOMs anymore, but I had DOMs after just the 75K I did. So your legs must have been caned the next day.
No, my legs were good. Like all those hill repetitions I've been doing in my flat region. But No, my legs were fine. It was just my feet. My feet were so
like were they sore, or was it from the wet, or what was it?
Yeah, well, they got like really wet, and then I think just like to the angle of just going on the hills all the time.
Yeah.
I actually felt like something had like cracked or broken or something on a rock. And there was one time the first aid people, the emergency service people, she was like, "Oh, when you change your socks, I'll check your feet." I said, "I'm not changing my socks," because I just didn't want to look at them because I was like, "What?" Because you know what I mean? Like my feet were all mushy and white, and then I was just like, they were just, I couldn't feel them. And then so I waited till she went, and I had to quick change the socks, man. Yeah, because I just, because then she might like start putting doubt in my head, like, "Oh, this is what's happening to your feet. They're all," and I just didn't want to like stop. So
yeah, that's fair enough.
I mean, I wouldn't have stopped, but it just,
So how's your recovery been? What have you been doing? Let the listeners know.
I've ran twice since then. I thought I was gonna like just finish the race, have a few days off, slowly get into it. But because my feet were sore and that, I like doing my gym stuff and strength work, and I just thought, you know what, just what's it matter if I have the rest of the month off?
Yeah, no, I agree.
And now it's at the time where I'm basically like I trained this morning in my gym, and then I was like, "Oh, well, no, that's not enough. I'll run later." And I'm like, "No, you said you're not going to run." I'm having these talks in my head.
But that's great that you're learning and developing that self-control with it now, because like you said, you have a tendency to overtrain, and it's getting that sensible voice on your shoulder as well.
Yeah. And it just, even that, remember back in January when I stuffed my ankle?
Yeah.
That was silly, because I'd think, well, I've got this training plan to do. I learned heaps by doing your coaching and stuff, because, like I said, I just do dumb things like that time with my foot. Running in sandals and
yes, in the gorge.
No, I twisted it down in the coastline on a rock. And then what happened was the weekend after, I was going into the gorge, and I had like 2 quality sessions during that week. And I did, and I knew my ankle was just stuffed, and I thought, I don't know, I had this thing in my head. I thought, I know it's injured, but I was like, I have to let this injury know that we ain't.
Oh, that you're the boss.
Yeah. So I was like, mentally, I'm like,
you showed it.
Yeah, I'll show you, ankle. We're running anyway, And then because the next week I was going over to Victoria, and I thought I've got to go into the gorge, and I contacted Dale and said, "Oh, where's a good spot?" And he said, "Go to the East Walk section." But I went, "All right, I'll go there then." And I looked at it, wasn't as hilly there, which was good, but it was like a 35-degree day, and it was like snake infested.
Oh.
I was like running. It was like bloody Indiana Jones. There was snakes everywhere, and I'm like, But so it was actually ended up good that run, because my ankle was stuffed. I ended up just hiking.
Yeah.
And I only got 24 Ks done, and then the plan said 34. So when I got home, I went to an oval and did the rest, and then my ankle was really, really stuffed.
Well, we got through it.
Yeah. So, but I got to the end. So I was happy with getting to the halfway point.
Yeah. So do you think you'll do it again next year?
Well, now I've just got this bit of a battle going on, thinking about it.
Yeah.
Part of me, like, I know what's going to happen. That when they'll put it out there to enter, and I'll enter. But I'm just sort of thinking about what I was thinking about when I was, having those sort of down moments during the event.
Yep.
Like, I'm sort of just processing those and thinking, like, are they going to come back to haunt me? How do I've got to get rid of them?
Well, I mean, I don't think you can ever get rid of those down moments. You're going to have them. What you have to do is learn to ride the wave, so to speak.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. Like, I knew that would be like what was going on. It wasn't, so half of it wasn't real. You just imagine things, you know, you're just imagining all these things and they're not even real. Like, you know, and you sort of, then you're just in a shitty mood. Like, that negativity comes in your head and you just, and that's, it's just, I guess it's all part of it, isn't it?
It is part of it. And that's to me almost the biggest battle rather than the physical battle.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I mean. My body was fine. I've just got to go through all the sort of little mental things like that were, and then that, and like when we did that little webinar thing with you on goal setting a while ago, and I never did it. I actually never did it. You know, no, there was a reason, because I didn't want to plant seeds in my own head. Like I'd said, you know, like reasons why I maybe shouldn't do. Shouldn't have done down under, you know what I mean? Like you know, like your A races, B, like what like training, how much commitment you can do, where you live, like a couple of little things like that came, because I have no hills here. I have no, so I have to just do like strength work on legs and find a hill sort of in the pine forest and just run up and down that for 6 hours.
But once again, I mean, that's what works. And we just spoke to Tom, and he's only got a short hill. That's all he's got to train on as well. And I mean, you got to work with what you've got and make it work.
Exactly. Yeah, I know that. It's just so all these like little things, but I know what's going to happen. I shouldn't be saying this on a podcast because my partner's going to watch it and go, again.
Oh no.
I'm not 100%, but I just
I know the feeling. I understand it. At the time I was like, no freaking way am I ever doing this again. But I'm like, I could do this better, you know.
Yeah, I learned so much doing it then. Like, and my goal would just be to get further.
Yes.
Than before, you know what I mean? And then just, you know, just get further than you did last time. And I met heaps of people while I was running that had been in it sort of the year before, or they'd been in it before, and that's what they were saying. They were like, I got the 70 last year, I just want to get further. Like no one was really saying, I'm going to finish.
Yeah.
You know, everyone was just like, I just want to get further than they did last time.
Yeah, and that happened even for Tom. That happened. He got a lot further as well than last year.
Yeah. Well, he's the only finisher.
Yeah, but it was 9Ks longer than last year.
Yeah, right. I know. Makes a difference. No, it was really good what he did.
Amazing athlete. And so next for you is GSER.
Yeah. So I'd entered that last year. And I'd sort of thought, this will be a good training run for down under. And I would have gone into back then. I've had to change my attitude towards it a little bit, because so it's good now. Like that's what I'll sort of think about.
That'll be your next sort of A race, I'm presuming, your big race.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Again, you just get to go to these. Like I've been to the snow up there like 13 years ago, but I just want to get out there and see these places, and you know.
That's what I love about running too, is where it gets you to go, some different places than you normally would.
Yeah. So are you going to New Zealand?
Yes. I mean, I've been to New Zealand before a few times, but not there. So
I think a friend of mine's doing that. I'm pretty sure he's entered it, but
I'm surprised because I posted about it on Facebook, and so many people are saying that they're going from Australia. It's like, wow, it's awesome.
It's good. I suppose too, because with the COVID and all the borders and shut down, like everyone just was like missing it, you know. They probably saves a bit of money.
That's right. We can all afford it, mate.
Enter all these races, so I don't know. I've only got the GCR, and if I do down under, I sort of again that's all I'd sort of focus on now. I don't know, just want to get further.
Yeah, no, well, that's a great goal.
It is.
So on that note, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your Down Under race with us. We really appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Adrian.
Thanks.
Bye.
Hi, Tom, and welcome back to the Peak Endurance Podcast.
Hey, Isabel, how you going?
Pretty good. And more to the point, how are you?
I'm pretty good. Doing all right.
That's so understated. You're pretty good. Now, for those who might have been, I don't know, living under a rock for the last couple of weeks, DU was recently run and won by Tom himself here. And we just thought we'd check in, see how the race went for you, what you've been doing since, because if social media is to be trusted, you've been doing more since then. So I thought we could have a bit of a chat, and I've brought Ron along to help me out with some questions and different viewpoint on everything. So let's get started, shall we?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All righty. So, well, first up, when I say how are you, it's a legitimate question. How has the recovery been after such a long race, not just kilometre-wise, but time-wise?
Physically, it's been pretty good. Like, I've come off pretty well. Back running and legs and everything are pretty okay and all that. I feel like something like DU, because it's such use different muscles and it's different running and hiking and climbing and whatever. It's all, so physically I put up pretty well. But the fatigue, I'm still feeling the fatigue part of it, and that's just lack of sleep for the weekend, and then doing the crewing for Nick Banford the weekend after at Westmax, only sleeping 2 or 3 hours that weekend too hasn't helped me, so I'm pretty tired.
How far did you crew him for?
So I crewed him the whole way. So he started Friday morning and I crewed him till we finished Sunday morning. I only paced him for the last 25k.
Okay, yeah.
I was crewing.
Wow. So you would have got no sleep, either. Like, wow.
Did you drive over there, or how did you get yourself there?
Yeah, took the plane. So and Nick's such an amazing guy. I can't actually, I couldn't actually afford to fly over there. So he actually flew me over.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's a really good friend. He paced me at Alpine Challenge twice now. So so we go over.
That's fantastic. Oh, well, and that's kind of why we love ultra running. It's such a great community, isn't it? And we all like to help each other out.
Yeah, it's probably one of my favorite parts of it. The people you meet and stories you make together are pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Now, you said your physical recovery has come along well. What about, say your mental recovery? Because there's often such a thing as the post-race blues and all that sort of stuff. And I do think that hard effort affects you mentally. How are you coming along with that?
Yeah, it's I wouldn't say I don't really get the blues anymore. I'm pretty self-aware. Yeah, if that makes sense. But you definitely, everything's just harder. I mean, it feels like, I like to think of like your willpower or your mental strength or whatever you want to call that is kind of the same as like muscle fatigue. Like something like DU, you completely drain it. So it's just things like doing like brushing your teeth. Just like you need this to brush your teeth or to eat right or whatever. Those things start to become harder. That's what I notice the most. It's just the idea of sometimes of just doing a 10k run seems impossible. Just things like that. And then just fatigue. Like you wake up and you still don't feel refreshed.
Yeah.
So what does getting back into training look like for you after such, big weekend, not just in, how far you went, but the sleep deprivation and that sort of thing?
I try and get things back to normal as quick as possible. So in terms of actual training, it also depletes a lot of, you lose a lot of muscle and weight, things like this. So for me, I keep everything really just low intensity, but keep everything moving. So with swimming, usually the first week is more swimming than running because it's just give the legs a rest. But for me, swimming. Although this time it's been a bit more running, and then but all like heart rate 130s, 140s max. But then I'll go to the only high intensity things I do is in the weight room to try and just rebuild and put back a bit more weight on. That's kind of what And that's pretty much
how much weight you lost.
So these 2 weeks, I ended up losing about 4 kilos, which for me is someone who's already doesn't have a lot on me, quite a lot. So
yeah.
Yeah,
so now, when you went into the race, was the plan to win, or were you just focusing on finishing?
Yeah, just finishing. Yeah, DU especially is one of those races where it's just about getting that finish. So, and it was, it is what it is. If it's a winner, I won, but also came last this year. So that's Nick was reminding me last weekend quite a bit. It's a lot of the races I don't really go in trying to win anyway. I kind of just go how I feel, and then if that puts me near the front, then I might try push towards the end, or whatever that looks like. So, but to start off with, I'm not, not really trying to race or anything. I know this year though, with towards the back end there, it looks like David was still probably going to have a good chance of actually finishing within the time for a while. I did go, I'm winning on trying to push this a bit harder. See if I can.
Sorry, your volume's just suddenly dropped. Have you covered the speaker or something accidentally?
Maybe.
Yeah, there we go. That's better. Sorry, say that again. David looked like he was
Yeah, so David looked like he was catching towards the end there. Looked like he was going to make it in time. So then I was like, I'm pretty close now to finishing, try and maintain the lead. So towards the end there, yeah.
Did you get a little bit of that panic of, oh my God, after all this time, if he catches me?
You do. You're like, come on.
Like, Siri, can you imagine it?
Like 40 plus hours. What the hell? Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, I'd really like David as a guy too.
Yeah, of course.
He's because he's so experienced.
Yeah.
He's actually the one that got me to try sleeping this time.
Okay.
He's given me, which worked well. So yeah.
Well, you didn't sleep last time at all?
No, I didn't have any naps or anything last time.
How much did you nap this time?
This time I had 2 15 minutes and then 1 20 minute.
Okay. And do you feel that your performance improved because of that? Yeah.
So I'm huge. So the first one was the halfway mark at Blackwood, and that from there I was starting to feel pretty fatigued and not great, but okay. After that nap though, I felt like I was a new runner. Awesome. And that made a huge difference. The second one, which was at Lowe's, didn't make too much of a difference.
Yeah.
But then I was hoping that would just get me through that second night, but it didn't. When I got down to Hogan's, which I had my longest one, I was in a really bad way. I wouldn't even thought it would have been safe to go back out to Old River the way I was kind of thinking.
Yeah.
But after the nap, I was like, okay, I'm tired, but I can keep going. So I feel like they definitely did help. So it probably saved some hours in the long run. Yeah,
I would agree.
How much attention were you putting towards, the time, the cutoffs, what you needed to hit to actually make it? Was that a constant concern, or were you just like, I'm just going to go for it and see what happens?
Well, fun. Yeah, this year I was pretty sure I was going to sub like 48 hours this year, and I was still kind of hoping that past the halfway mark.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was I think it was into Trout, the sun like, maybe it might just be 50. And then even into Lowe's, like, maybe still might be 50. And then when I had that, when things really went downhill, when I went into Hogan's and then did Old River again, when I think I did like 2Ks in an hour. And that's why I lost a lot of time. And that's when cutoffs like, oh, shoot. I don't have time to make cutoffs. And then before I know it, I've only got 20 minutes getting to Bear's Head. So,
Yeah.
And
so, like, how do you just keep going when you're feeling that fatigue? I mean, I know you slept, but you've got to be pretty tired and dead legs.
Yeah, it's just in my head. There's no other option. It's like if it's safe, I'm like physically, I'm not going to need an ambulance or need someone to come save me. Then there's no reason in my head like not to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still pretty. I always just think too, like if I pulled out or stopped, then I know afterwards I'm going to be pinching myself. And also, it's also what you try and get to that stage. That's where you really find out, what you're made of and how much more you can push.
Mm-hmm.
That's where like it's nearly where the magic kind of happens. It's like that's when you start to be like, I'm finally here. This is where you realize like how much you've been leaving on the table, how much more you can actually go. And it's just finding that. And you surprise yourself every time. As soon as you think you've found it, you're like, no, I'm not even close. So,
and I don't know, but obviously that it was like well over the distance, the prescribed distance. How did you feel about that?
Well, that's the thing. I was thinking, about 217, 218K, and then being 226.
That's got to mess with your head.
Yeah, it does. And then even with I thought it was going to be less elevation this year too. And then I've been 1,000 more vert than last year as well.
Wow.
So I was like, I just, after last year, I was like, I'm sure they're going to make it maybe slightly easier to,
I thought that was the plan.
I think it was because they added more road. There was more, I think that 8K, a lot of that was because the road. And I remember the first half, I was thinking, this actually will be faster because that road makes a difference. But I don't know what happened. I guess that old river going through that again. And I think maybe the extra vert built up over time. Because I think that was the idea they were trying to do.
Yeah, but I think also they added in a few extra crossings of the gorge, which obviously slows people down as well.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
And what sort of things did you eat?
I ate everything.
Good.
I had donuts. What else? I had sandwiches, peanut butter sandwiches, lollies. The whole time, I think I went through 50 plus little like Mars bar, like chocolate things. I was having one of those every hour. I think I've said before, I don't really do much gels. The only gels that I really like are the spring ones, which Nick actually got me to trying.
Yeah. And you didn't get gastric distress at all?
Not really. Like I always kind of like the stomach doesn't feel great. Yeah. So I'm not throwing up or having stomach bad issues or anything or cramps.
How do you force yourself to eat?
That's a good question. I know I have to. I know I'm going to feel better for it, and I find too with the longer stuff when you get that far in, it's like instant. Better you feel. It's like your body needs it that much. It's like just straight away you feel good. So kind of just knowing that.
And do you like to eat pasta or eat like a meal type, or are you just happy to snack on the sandwiches and the chocolate bars and things?
Ideally, I mean, I do like the pasta meals. Like I think at at Hogan's I had some of the pasta there. I think I had noodles at halfway point. So I think I do have those a bit here and there. But I just like in my head when it comes to any of the races, like whatever the food is, like if it's calories, to me it's calories, and like it's only. I mean, I have my preferences, but like if the body's getting the calories and that's all you need is calories and water, then you can keep kind of going.
However you get it.
Yeah, and it's not forever, so it's only for a short amount of time, and you just do it, don't you?
We're comfortable anyway. I mean, what's just yeah.
And what do you have any particular diet when you're in training, or are you just one of those people that eats whatever comes your way?
I used to be super strict because I had like anorexia when I was 15, 16. So I used to have back then that was like unhealthy to the point, but since then I used to be pretty strict. Would be like all like whole foods. So I wouldn't do like chips or like processed anything like that. It'd just be like eggs, meat, nuts. The carbohydrates I'd get would be like oats and rice and that type of thing. But now I'm a bit more lenient. Like getting being with Mel, my partner, it's once you have someone else, it's a bit hard to be that strict.
Yeah, I've done a little bit of
that.
I know.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
Terrible. I mean, it's great.
She still won't eat everything that I eat, but she's a little more relaxed.
A little.
It's a lot better. Yeah, sometimes you pitch yourself for it, but you're better for it. And
I guess. I mean, I still find it mentally hard personally, but
well, I still struggle with here and there, but it's good for it, I think.
Yeah.
And the amount of calories you're burning through training and stuff too. Like, why not enjoy some of those extra calories that you burn? So,
I know I certainly do.
Yeah. That's good.
And so so what else about the race? When you're doing, because like when I was doing some of those really steep climbs, some because I obviously didn't do as many as you, I would find I was slipping back. How do you deal with that? Like what shoes do you use? How do you get up those really steep climbs that are so slippery?
Poles. I mean, for me, poles.
Yeah, I mean, I used poles, but I'm still struggling.
Poles, I might be help with me too, is I've been mountaineering and you use your crampons, and when you're with your crampons, you're digging your crampons into the ground. So I don't think about it consciously, but I might be digging my feet in.
Yeah, I'm guessing that would be,
might help. But I use my two shoes I use are Innovates and Las Bativas, and they don't have. I mean, I know the Innovates are supposed to have some really good tread on them, but I don't think they're any more special than most trail shoes. But I'm also I'm using my hands.
Yeah.
Grabbing on trees, and I mean, as you probably did as well for some of them.
Yeah.
Did you use a pacer this year?
No.
Is that a reason, or are you just happy to be out there on your own, or?
Yeah, well, for me, I feel bad asking, so I just don't know. That's the only reason.
Why do you feel bad asking? People would love to help you.
I don't know. I just feel like I'll be using up people's time, and I just feel like even with Alpine Challenge, the only reason Nick paced me is because he asked. So like,
oh, wow, I thought you had a pacer.
No, I didn't. It'd be good to, especially that second night, having some company.
So yeah, that's what I was thinking. That second night and through the river again, like just for safety.
Yeah, 100%.
But I wonder, knowing that you don't use a pacer, do you think it would help or hinder you? Like I do wonder.
I think a pacer would help heaps, because also like mentally, for me, just having I like talking to people. I think so I like running with people as much as I can.
Would you have the energy to be talking to people
on the second night?
You got a good point there. It'd probably be silent. I've been thinking about back to Alpine. I was in a pretty dark place with Nick towards the end, and it was just he knew it was just like silence. But it's still helpful to have someone there.
Still company, yeah.
Company. So I think it would help. I reckon it could save a couple of hours, maybe. Actually, just thinking about it.
Well, you know what? If people like listening to this, if you think that you would be happy to pace Tom at any point, just, put it in the comments. I reckon the only fear people would have is that they wouldn't be fast enough for you.
People underestimate themselves, I reckon.
Yeah, I agree.
The segments, like I'm not doing a super pace. I'm not super fast runner, just consistent. So
yes, yeah. I mean, you are fast, but I get what you're saying as well.
Yeah, I mean,
by the second night, you're not exactly breaking land speed records.
You're not out there hitting 5-minute Ks.
I'm always comparing myself to people that are better, fast above me. So that's why I say that.
But well, there's not that many. So what's next for you?
I'm supposed to be doing Unreasonable East.
Oh, when's that?
Yeah, it's about 3 weeks away.
Oh my God, Tom!
After that, it's. I don't actually have anything booked till GSER in November, which is like the first time since I started ultra running. I have 1,000 things.
Yeah.
But that was because this year I was keen to do the Triple Crown. That was going to be the main thing.
That's right, you were, weren't you? But you couldn't get to the first one anyway, could you?
So I delayed Irrational to next year and Delirious to next year. I'll do that next year. But I wanted to do, like, doing a 200 miles has been a goal of mine now for a year. So I wanted to crack one. Yeah. And being the inaugural, I was like, okay, I'll just keep that one.
So you're going for the win?
If it turns out to be that way, halfway through and it looks like it might be that way, then I'll go for it. But if not, I mean, I'm never done a 200 mile before, so it's new territory. So I don't want to go and blow up trying to win it when I haven't even run it before. So
do you ever do a B race?
See, when it comes, I don't really have an A, a B, or a C, or it's all just
Nice.
You know, I've never peaked before either. Like there's so many.
Yeah, it's impossible to peak when you're racing that many times.
But I do. That's I've actually I'm planning to change. GCR is going to be the first one I want to try and actually peak for and try and actually train properly and do it up.
And it would be an interesting experiment anyway to see what the difference will be like.
I think for yourself, I think, going through a proper training process and building up to it, I think you might open your own eyes up. I
agree. Yeah, I'm with you because I haven't actually had time to try and improve the actual.
Yeah.
It's just been so it'll be interesting. Good experiment to see what happens.
Yeah. No, it will be. So this is your second time doing DU, obviously. What is it that you love about it so much that made you want to come back for more?
There's a few things. I was this like Tom and Dion and Dale and Anthony. They're the four guys that put the atmosphere they create, and then you get people like Melbourne Sydney runners and Warren come down and volley for it. It's just such an amazing, atmosphere they create that I really like about it, and then just how tough it is. Like that's the type of for me, ultra running. I got into ultra running to kind of like push the limits, figure out more about myself, and then whilst moving, because I like moving or exercising, and it's like that embodies that for me nearly. Like it's running. I love running and everything, but it's like just pushing myself is kind of running allows me to push myself. If that makes sense. Yeah. So and then the DU gives you can't do anything but your best if you want to try and finish that race. So you've got to be out there.
Did you do heaps and heaps and heaps of hiking training for that?
I didn't. My training is very like, I kind of feel like it's I keep a good base of everything. Yeah. So I'm not great. I'm not amazing in everything, but my base is got a pretty that's a strong base. Like I'm kind of.
I think you've covered up the speaker again.
My hand. Okay, I'll try the computer.
Yeah.
So my training I try and do is so I can do any event or any type of thing I want when I want without actually having to have a month build up or anything like that.
Yeah. And you're pretty good though with doing heaps of strength work, and I would assume that really helped you on those steep climbs and descents.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I lots for the legs, that thing, and I did doing Alpine Challenge 3 weeks before. He had a lot of vert and other races which have good amounts of vert to help with that training, and I still get in like your 2-3 like hill repeats a week and all that type of thing.
So when you do those hill repeats, what sort of length are they?
Usually average would be like 10 to 20 Ks, and it'll just be anywhere between
the hill itself that you do.
The hill itself, probably like 200 to 300.
Yeah.
It's only because where I live, I prefer to be somewhere longer, but you got what you've got. So but you could argue actually that for DU that could actually be better because it's not actually super long time.
Yes. No. Yeah.
What breaks your legs down is the downs as well. So constant downs.
Huge. Yeah. And it's a case of you've got to work with what you've got, and clearly it's worked for you anyway.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just, especially with DU in particular, like, let alone any other ultra, is having a really strong base, all-round base, like a balanced, muscle imbalances and focus and all that. I think makes a huge difference with a race like that.
You're going to go back next year?
I want to. No one's finished it 3 times.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's that's fair.
The only issue is like if I want to do the Triple Crown and with other things like I don't know Mel's wanting to do it, and if I want to pace Mel, I want to. I'm definitely going to be there in some way. Especially
3 years in a row, like without a break.
That's what's really kind of got me.
Yeah.
I really want to. So
yeah, I get that.
Do you have a race? I know you're looking at the Triple Crown in the next year or so. Do you have a race that's on your radar in the next 2 to 3 years that's like your dream race?
Well, like if it wasn't just within Australia, like UTMB would be like the dream race I'd want to do. But like something like that just seems so like far off in the distance. It just
Why?
doesn't. I don't know, it just because that's just, I don't know, it's such a big race, and I don't feel like I'm like adequate.
You've done more than enough. You are more than ready for that.
So, but yeah, that would be right. And then having a real good lead, like build up to that, would be amazing.
Yeah.
See where you're at against internationally. Off your own.
Yeah, no, that would be awesome. Yeah. All righty. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast again and sharing with us your DU adventure. Congratulations on a fantastic win of like you said, being the winner and the loser, because you came first and last. So well done.
Both years. I've come off both years now.
That's right. Yes, very good.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. And
yeah, thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, good speaking to you guys.
Yeah.
See ya.
See you later.